Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Today I just wanted to go over a technique of skin retouching, which actually uses just a dodge and burn technique as opposed to the patch tool or clone stamp. The clone stamp and the patch tool are great for getting rid of like the larger areas or more defined areas like spots or blemishes or anything like that. So that I would do as normal, and I would just do a separate layer for that. Just so you can actually see what's going on with that. So it's just the regular taking away the spots and that sort of thing. But there are other elements here that would be tricky to, how should we say, to improve without making it look odd or destroying some of the skin texture there. So if I wanted to remove this slight dark area here, you could do it with a patch tool, but you'd end up with a deterioration in skin quality there. So one way to go about it is to literally just do it with a dodge and burn technique, which you can do on top of that, which is just basically painting in lights and darks. So if I just show you what that layer actually looks like that I've got there, it's just a grey layer which is set to soft light. And I've just painted whites and darks onto it, and that's the thing that is actually giving that detail back, as in changing the shape but maintaining the actual skin texture and skin detail there. So I'll just quickly go over how that's done. I'm just gonna turn that off for now. Just go to layer, new layer, and just bring that layer down to soft light. And I'm going to choose to fill it with 50% grey. That 50% grey, it doesn't matter whether you have that on or not, but it certainly is easier to see what you've done afterwards. Then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose a soft brush, regular size, and obviously the size of it is dependent on what the area that you're going to be working on. And I'm just going to be painting on top of that in there. I've got it set to about 10% there, 10% on the opacity, just come in there like that. Okay, now it's difficult to actually see what's going on, and I used to do it like this for a while until somebody showed me a way it was a lot easier to actually see. At the moment, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change the lightness and darkness of the image, and obviously there's a lot of colour in there that is distracting as well. So one way that you can get around this is to actually just create a hue saturation adjustment layer on top of that. Reduce all the saturation in the image. You don't need to do anything, just need to reduce it, and then apply a curves adjustment layer as well, not changing any of the curves or anything like that there. I'm just literally leaving it as it is, but what I am doing is I am changing the screen mode, the overlay mode of that to multiply. Okay, so there's nothing applied on that curve, nothing there, and just set to full desaturation on that one, and they're just sitting on top of that. And what that means is it's a lot easier for me to actually see what's going on here in this area. Okay, as you can see, when it is without that, you've got all that color, and when it is a lot brighter now, once I've applied those, it's a lot easier to actually see what's going on. So if we just go back to my grey layer, as you can see already, you might not be able to see that on the video, but already it's not as accurate as it possibly could be. Now that I've got those two adjustment layers on top, it's far easier to see what's going on. So I'm just gonna delete that, and we'll just try that again. In fact, just whilst we do that, I will just go over a couple of things that I have been asked, and sort of personal preferences as well. Let me just bring back that new grey layer, soft light, filling it with 50% grey for now. Okay, coming on top. And I mentioned that I was using a 10% opacity of the brush. Some people prefer to use opacity, some people prefer to use the flow. I'm just going to sort of show you what the differences that I've seen and that I've found, and why I use the opacity over the flow. I've just created a new layer there. I'm just going to fill that with black, just so I can show you what's going on. I'm just going to bring my brush back. So at the moment, obviously that is 100%. Okay, 100% opacity, 100% flow. Pretty basic. If you just press on the keypad, on the numbers, just press 1, it automatically goes to opacity 10 or 660. Here you go, for example. And 0 takes it to 100. Okay. If you wanted to do the shortcut for the flow, it's just Shift and then the numeral numbers. So, right. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is just bring that fresh black layer back. I'm just going to show you what I was talking about. So if we have 40% opacity, and I just keep brushing with the white, no matter how many times I go over it, it's still always only ever going to be 40% opacity on that. Okay, granted, it probably has been affected by those, but yeah, so it's always going to be like that. If I was to do it with the flow as opposed to the opacity, so if I just put 40% flow, 100% opacity, and I go over it, where I go over it again and it doubles up, it actually doubles up all the way to 100%. Okay, which may seem simple enough, but when you're working on an image like doing dodging and burning and that sort of thing, and you're doing it and you're going backwards and you're going over yourself like that, okay, where you're coming back and forth, it doubles up at the corners here. It will always double up at the corners because you've got it set to flow. So for me personally, I always have it set on opacity, and so that I know that if I'm going back on myself, it's only ever going to be at 40% until I lift the pen up and do it again. That's just me. Try it for yourselves. See which you prefer. Right, so back to the skin retouching here. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to turn on our adjustment layers again. I'm going to set it to soft brush 10%. Okay, and then I'm just going to come in here and just soften this up. You may find that you want to go less than that. Sometimes I work at around 6%, whichever you find easiest or simplest to go back on. If you think that you have done it too much, there's way too much white there, then you can just add, switch the colors and put some black back in there, and that will soften it up again. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to sort of show you or make you sit here through all of it, but essentially it's these areas, you want to be using it on these areas that you wouldn't really patch, because if you start patching large areas like that of skin, you can find that the pore density is a little bit different, and then when you're going over it again with a clone stamp or patch tool, then you're losing some of that clarity. So that's the one that I did earlier on, like I mentioned. I'm just going to turn those off. But that's what I've actually got in there. You can see I've been going over the in the eyes there as well, just lightening up the eyes with it. But yeah, that's what it looks like. Can look a bit freaky, obviously, but yeah, pretty simple, and that will really help on top of the images. I think I've got another one here as well. So that's with it on, that's with it off. Okay, so you can really see in these areas down here that you perhaps wouldn't necessarily want to use the patch tool on, because it's quite difficult, but it will just help to smooth out the face if that's what you wanted to do. Okay, all right guys, well thanks very much indeed for watching. If you want to see any more techniques or tutorials or anything like that, then you can pretty much find everything on my website at jakehicksphotography.com. Have a great week guys, thanks very much.